Hello friends and foes. Why is the TCG market slowing down here at the end of the summer in 2026? I'm going to talk through my perspective on what's going on and how you can prepare for the end of summer and upcoming fall, and then of course the holiday season. So first things first, we have had lots of big news in top TCGs recently. I mean, just this year we had Sorcery Gothic came out not too long ago. And we had, I guess it came out at the beginning of the year, but I know a lot of money went into that. We've got pre-orders already went out for Pokemon 30, and a lot of people are looking forward to Pokemon 30 and figuring out, where am I going to put my money? A lot of money is tied up in either recent releases that broke a lot of ground and garnered a lot of attention, or on upcoming stuff or very, very recent or currently coming out stuff like Hobbit. A lot of TCG money was either spent on groundbreaking sets like Sorcery Gothic back towards the beginning of the year, or is going into Hobbit. I know a lot of people were ripping Pitch Black, and a lot of people, I saw it in all the communities I was in, a lot of people spent as much money as they could when the Pokemon 30 pre-orders were available on the Pokemon Center. And a lot of people are ripping Hobbit. So between recent releases, Hobbit, Pokemon 30, and the upcoming Rayquaza set, which looks incredible, a lot of money has either been spent or is being held just for these big releases. And so that means that the volume of money that's moving through stuff that's already on the market is lower. People just aren't buying as much of what's already out there. A lot of money is going into the upcoming bombastic sealed releases and the recent sealed releases. And people only have, even super fans, only have so much money to spend on TCGs. And so they're going to allocate it based on what they are most excited about. And most fun money is going into these really big releases that are coming out. I mean, even Marvel and Avatar saw a lot of money move into them. Even Spider-Man did until people got upset. But at least from on the business side, people went in. I know personally LGSs that took a lot of Spider-Man or ordered a lot of Spider-Man before a lot of the news was coming out about what it was going to look like and before the sentiment turned down on it. So you got that going on. People are excited for stuff that hasn't come out yet, and just a lot of money has been spent. It is also, it's summer. It's towards the end of summer now, but the kind of stuff that people do during summer, people, they are in some cases away from work, or they're in a slower period at work, and so they're spending more time on stuff like home improvement. A lot of essential home improvement stuff happens in the summer. A lot of roofs get replaced in the summertime. It's just the highest volume period between summer rains and just more activity and more availability of roofers and stuff like that. So, and roofing is like the most expensive line item in home ownership. And so if people are spending $5,000 on roof repairs, or $10,000 to $25,000 to $40,000 on roof replacements, that's going to take the discretionary funds away from cards. Likewise, air conditioning, summertime in North America, and a lot of air conditioning breaks or needs repair or needs service in the summer because it's undergoing a lot more use. And so that's another expensive line item where you're looking at $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 in replacements or repairs going into the home just on those two massive line items. And that doesn't even count the fun stuff or the less important stuff. They're building decks, they're building outdoor workout facilities, they're building play jungle gym thing for their kids in the backyard. They're investing in that kind of stuff, home improvement, painting the house, doing a bathroom remodel, because they want to get it done before the holiday season comes around and they have more friends and family coming over, or they're busier at work, or they know that they're going to be spending their money on other things. And so summer is the time for a lot of this essential home maintenance, home improvement stuff, and that stuff is expensive, which means people aren't going to be spending their money on the other fun stuff like TCGs. Also, travel. So if people are going to spend their money on kind of discretionary fun purchases, are they going to use the summer and the slow season for their vacation time and do some traveling and do some of that kind of stuff? Or are they going to stay in town and open trading cards and continue and keep playing games on the weekends the way that they do the rest of the year and during the holidays and stuff like that? A lot of people, if they have kids or have a job that slows down in the summer, a lot of people are going to take any extra money they have after the essential stuff is covered, and they're going to go travel. They're going to go do other stuff because people have lives. There's a whole world that exists outside of this cardboard stuff that we do. And so a lot of discretionary income is going to go into stuff like that. Traveling, concerts, a lot of concerts and just live events, lecture series, whatever, celebrities doing tours. A lot of that kind of stuff happens during the summer because people have more free time, the weather's nice, there's all sorts of factors that go into it. But so again, all of this stuff is competing for the time and money that is required to participate in TCG hobbies. And so for that reason also, that money's tied up in these things, and that money is not flowing into the TCGs. And then of course it is August now, and so now we're looking ahead at university's going to start up again, school for children is going to start up again, just the higher velocity retail season is going to start up again, and therefore all of the careers that have to do with it. We're moving into fall, we're moving into preparing for the holidays and stuff like that. So schedules are going to change. People are going to get busier. And so that means that people are preparing for this kind of either their mind is somewhere else, or more specifically, like in preparing for school and stuff like that, they're preparing to spend money. Sending your kids back to school costs money. Taking yourself back to school costs money. Even adults who are going back to school. I took a university course recently that was unbelievably expensive, and they wanted all that money in September. And so that's like, where's the money tied up? Where's it going? There's only so much money to go around, and only a certain percentage of it is going to go into TCGs, and that percentage is lower now compared to the other things that are competing for that fixed supply of money. And so then on the flip side, volume is down, and so then you also have a lot more people who have trading cards, a lot more casual sellers, and so on. A lot of them want to liquidate the cards that they have and turn them into cash that they can spend on these other things. And so people need to get some car repairs done. People need to get some home repairs done. People want to get they want to book a vacation or do some traveling or do something like that. Or they're preparing to go back to school or something like that. And so they look at these, they've got 1,000 cards, 2,000 cards, 10,000 cards, and they're like, I'm going to sell some of my personal collection. This is why I have this stuff. And then use that money to fund this other thing that I need to do. And so that means that supply is increasing. So there's a lower demand in the market, and then more supply is coming to the market. And people are competing on price and want liquidity, and the people who don't have any overhead can afford to sell stuff way under the market price because they're not spending any money on acquiring inventory, not really, or they're not trying to turn a profit on every bit of inventory. They just participate in the hobby and then sell what they don't use when they need some cash. So they're not running overhead, they're not running cost of goods sold, they're not running any of that stuff. that supply is flooding the market, and it's flooding the market everywhere. It's flooding the market on every marketplace. It's flooding the market on Facebook Marketplace, and also local card stores everywhere. All the supply is moving in to the market. There's a lot of people who have stuff they want to sell, and they're willing to come down on price because they want fast cash. So then, of course, that's going to draw the prices down as well. When you have less buyers and more sellers, that drives prices down. Plus, there's all the just everything that's happening in the market, everyone seeing it as a gold rush. That's going to impact it too. There's more people selling than ever. There's more supply than ever. There's more printing than ever. So that all is going to have a factor as well. But that plus the seasonal swing is certainly going to drive down volume and sell-through, and therefore that means prices are going to go down so that people can at least get some cash flow. So then that ties into we're on the back now of several disappointing sets, and so let's talk about like the capital that is in the TCG business right now. You've got most stores run thin margins and very little runway and live and die by like this month's cash flow. And that means that they can't sit on product. And so when you have this influx of supply and you have this downturn in demand, and then you have these stores that have a bunch of product and need cash flow now, they also are going to be liquidating, fire selling, getting everything off the books as quickly as they possibly can because of, not only just the seasonal demand swings, but we're on the tail end now of, I mentioned Spider-Man and Avatar earlier. Sentiment was high and then it crashed for those, and a lot of people were upset, but a lot of people over-ordered on those and ordered more than they can sell quickly. And because their business model is about churn and burn, a lot of people got stuck with product that they can't sell that is putting them in dire straits in the business. And so they have to get this stuff off the books. They have to, and also they need to compensate for the loss that they took on those items by selling other items at a lower profit margin just to get the cash flowing. So between Avatar, Spider-Man, even people are complaining about Marvel in some cases, and Pitch Black, which has had some popularity more than the last two sets, but still overall, pretty low performance compared to recent stuff like Ascended Heroes. So Pitch Black, Chaos Rising, Perfect Order, having all in most card shops and online sellers and everything probably have exposure to both Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, and probably do most of their volume in both of these. And so having 6 bad sets across their flagship IPs, the 2 flagship IPs, that also means that they need cash flow. So they're going to sell everything that they do have at the highest price they can get, but still it's going to be lower than it would be in a different part of the market cycle because they're desperate for cash flow and there's just too much supply right now. And so then also these stores, if they want to stay in business, they need some sort of feast. They need something good to happen. And so they're looking ahead. Also, they're looking, now they're, whatever they decided to gamble on Hobbit, they're reaping that. And so a lot of money, not only from collectors, but also on the business side, a lot of money went into Hobbit. A lot of money is either being reserved for or is going into Pokemon 30, Delta Rain, the Rayquaza set. So there's a lot of just stuff that's coming up in the holiday, and then there's other holiday announcements, other things that are coming around the bend that these stores need to have capital for, because when they look at their business, they look at the cash flow, they look at what's coming ahead. Some of these stores need a Hail Mary. They need a miracle to happen if they're going to stay in business another 6 months, another 12 months. And so they need to have a lot of exposure to these really high in demand things. And so they're going to liquidate stuff that they do have at lower prices, singles, sealed, whatever, so that they can get the capital that is going to be required for them to get as large a stock as they can in these things that they have a strong belief are going to sell and generate a lot of revenue for the business. And so you have all these factors happening, plus just world events. Like, life is harder right now. Everything is more expensive. The world is crazy and getting crazier every single day. And like, every big company is doing mass layoffs, especially in the high income areas like tech jobs and stuff like that. And so if you think about the demographic who's spending their discretionary income on trading cards, these are probably people who have good jobs, often six-figure incomes or high five-figure incomes, comfortable jobs, comfortable careers. If they lose that, that brings the market down across the board. And if their overall income goes down, then most of their money has to go to the essentials, and that means TCGs are going to be one of the first things that get cut. And the recovery on that after mass layoffs and stuff like that, that it takes time, and people are willing to go into debt around the holidays. People are willing to go into debt for stuff that they really, really want. But again, that attention and that desire is being directed towards the upcoming stuff that's on the horizon. So even though people who don't have any money will still spend the money that they don't have on trading cards, and the people who do have money want to spend the money on trading cards, and there are other things competing, it's the upcoming stuff. Everybody has their eyes on that. So all these factors. And then I'd say last thing, more relevant to like right now, the date of this video, it's early August right now. A lot of people just paid rent, mortgages, utility bills. Utility bills are higher in the summer, they just are. So there's all of this other stuff that goes into the actual timing of right now. I'm seeing a lot of buzz right now. People are like, oh, why is it so slow? Why is it so slow? You're always going to see a downturn in sales velocity across most retail right around the first of the month because everybody's paying their bills. And then I generally see like a higher peaks mid-month when people have more of that discretionary income available and they're willing to buy some stuff, and then it slumps again. And so you compound that with all of the stuff that's just happening in this season right now, and the stuff that's happening in these hobby spaces, and how much they're transforming, and how some of the collectors and consumers are getting burned out and getting tired of it. But at the same time, the lines are longer than ever. So there are people buying. There is people out there, but what are they looking for? Are they looking for what you have to sell? And so how do you deal with this market slowdown? I mean, be conservative and strategic with your cash flow. This is not necessarily a season to take tremendous risks. It is going to be a season to buy, but only responsibly, with money that you can afford to lose, because there's no guarantee that the market will increase enough in the coming periods, fall and winter and holiday. There's not a guarantee that the market will increase enough for you to liquidate everything to get you back into the green if you are struggling right now. So you want to be conservative, think big, act small. Yes, you want to have exposure to things, you want to set yourself up with opportunity upcoming, but don't take stupid risks. Manage your costs wisely right now. Now is not necessarily the time to be spending cash foolishly. Now is not necessarily the time to be taking big risks on how you manage your listings or anything like that. So if you are going to be making changes to the business, you got to be careful. If something is broken, then yes, obviously fix it. But if you're just like, oh, I wonder if I should take time away from stuff that works and instead try this other thing that I don't know if it's going to work or not. Maybe now is not the time to do that. Right now is probably the time to double down on the essentials. If content is a significant part of your business, you need to be making content right now. If you've got more time available right now, and that content is essential to driving volume in the times when everything is more competitive, like the holidays, when it's harder to get supply and it's harder to catch attention, and attention is more expensive, advertising costs all skyrocket, basically right around September. because everybody is racing to the market and everybody's preparing for Black Friday and all that. So now is the time to be laying your foundation of content. Now is the time to be laying your foundation of inventory. Now is the time to be preparing for the feast that will come in fall and in the holidays, but responsibly. Think ahead. Don't put yourself too much at risk. Don't put yourself at an existential risk, and don't overextend yourself with anything to the point that you're going to burn out, or you're going to crash out, or you're going to run out of money, or anything like that. So you need to manage things strategically. If your TCG business is in side hustle territory right now, allow it to be a side hustle. Now is probably not the time to aggressively push for going full time, because you don't know when things are going to turn up. You don't know how far they're going to turn up. And we've also got this, whatever is happening with the post office and all these deliveries that aren't going through and all these refunds that are happening. Like, now you want to be moving. You don't want to be hesitating, but you also don't want to be too aggressive right now, because things are changing. And it may turn out that the way money is going to be made going into fall and into the holidays, it could be that some things are going to be different, because if the shipping stuff does blow over, then maybe nothing will change. But if it doesn't blow over soon, then that means the way that people make their money is going to change. Certain platforms like TCG Player are going to be just too risky to sell on, because there's not enough seller protection, there's not the tracking protection, and so on. And then platforms that do look at the shipping situation and act on it with urgency instead of just ignoring it, people will probably move to those platforms. And also, I anticipate that local infrastructure is going to be more essential than ever. Having a local infrastructure for sourcing inventory and having a local infrastructure for liquidating inventory. If you have a body of consumers in your town that you can drive pickup, like drop-offs to, or you have some sort of infrastructure set up where you can set up pickups where people can do local pickup, I think that is going to give you a really big advantage in the light of all this shipping complications. And if ideas that you can do with that are like, if you know that some of these shops are undercapitalized, if you get on friendly terms with the owners, you might be able to set up, host an event, like a buy-sell trade event for an item that they don't carry. So if you've got a local shop that doesn't carry Pokemon, I've got one that just does MTG and they don't do Pokemon at all. So something I've considered is going to that shop and saying, hey, I'm interested in actually setting up a Pokemon buy-sell trade night here. And you just charge per ticket, because that's how he operates, is he does event fees, and he's more of an event-based revenue business. And so I'd say, charge $7 a head or something like that, and you keep that revenue, or like you take the lion's share of that. Pay me $1 for every. His base table fee is $5, so it's like if we increase it to $7 on Pokemon Buy Sell Trade Night, pay me $1 of each ticket that comes through for that. So I make some money on the event, and then he makes the most of it, and he makes more than he would on a dead night. And then I come in and I sell something, and I facilitate an event around something that doesn't compete with his normal business volume and business flow. And that could be a win-win situation where I help a local business get through this tough period. I help my business get through this tough period, and I supply the market with something that currently is not available, and to build that local infrastructure that offsets your online shipping risk right now and platform risk and stuff like that. So that's just stuff to consider. My microphone is about to die, so I'm going to do some announcements. Giveaways. I'm going to be launching giveaways once my email list gets to 100 subscribers. So if you want to get on to that list for some upcoming giveaways, visit list.getdkc.com. And Discord beta. I have officially launched the Discord beta. I got like 6 people in there or something like that. I want to get maybe 20 people in there. the Discord beta, get things set up, get things rolling. So if you are interested in that, visit my website, www.getdkc.com. Scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see a contact form. Just let me know, hey, I want to join the Discord, and then I'll send you the invite link. And of course, if you want to buy some cardboard from me, you can do that currently by visiting www.getdkc.com. I recently added Dragon Ball Super, Digimon, and a little bit of Riftbound, just a little bit, but there's new stuff there. And then lots of holos and reverse holos for 151, Pokemon 151. Lots of Demon Slayer rares, Hunter x Hunter rares in Union Arena. Soon I will be listing some Flesh and Blood, so you can keep an eye on the store there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Good luck with your TCG business. Buy some cardboard from me. It's good to see you. Peace.